Yeah.
She was telling me that they're $8 a carton now.
$8
which is ridiculous because I've never paid $8 for a carton of eggs. I never will.
Yeah, no.
They're starting to go down to like $5 now. But if this chicken flu thing keeps going, then it's going to spread to pigeons, ostriches. We're going to start having a whole other bird flu 2.0.
Guys, listen to this.
What?
I just got a letter addressed to us.
What?
Really?
From Spotify.
Oh.
From Spotify? That's...
I know. Hold your horses, though.
Yeah.
Here's what it reads. Blah, 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 blah. Due to a recent evaluation of the Under the Influence podcast, that's us, we at Spotify have found that in an extremely successful, almost 2-season-long run, the podcast has featured 0 female guests. We at Spotify value equality in this regard above all else. And considering that said podcast has featured such celebrities as Jake Gyllenhaal, Bill Gates, Jerry Seinfeld, that was fun, and of course Peter Dinklage, we find it pertinent that you have a female guest to lend their voice on current political and societal discourse. That's interesting. If said female representative is not featured in the next airing episode, we at Spotify will have no choice but to prematurely end all production and distribution of the podcast?
What are we going to do? We have to record right now. Where are we going to find a female guest?
Guys, I could do it.
Oh. Yeah, that might work. But, Levi, he already has such long hair.
Oh, I have some lipstick you could wear, Levi. And if we run and grab a pair of heels really quick, we might be able to pull this off.
Mia's here. We can just have her be on the podcast. There's absolutely no need.
Of course we'll have to shave your legs, Levi.
No.
I hope you're comfortable with that.
No, I'm not okay with
Dibs
this.
on shaving Levi's armpits.
Ooh, and then I could put maybe like
What's going on? Mia, you're here. You can be the guest. Why aren't you saying anything? Please, Mia, just say something, please.
Guys. If you've got the legs and you've got the arms, I can shave his back.
Yeah.
No! All right, roll the intro.
Evening, officer. Is something wrong?
Don't worry, son. Routine traffic stop. We got reports of someone driving under the influence. You know anything about that?
Oh, wouldn't it be me? I'm only under one influence.
And what would that be?
The influence of Jesus.
It's time for Under the Influence.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Under the Influence. I'm one of your 3 co-hosts, Jude Crane, joined by my brother in Christ, Jerry Crane, and our first female guest,
Levi Thiessen.
And we have an extra guest for this episode.
Yeah.
To double fill the quota.
What's up, podcast world?
What's up, Twitter world? O.J. Simpson. What's up, Twitter world?
So the whole world's listening. Did you do it?
No.
No comment.
He's shaking his head no. No, in sincerity, we do have a special guest. You didn't introduce her.
Yeah.
Mia.
Hi.
Mia.
Yeah.
Mia went to high school. We went to high school together. And longtime friend of the podcast. The conception of Under the Influence podcast kind of started in high school, ish.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a podcast. I know you wanted to do a podcast. And we got the name and the idea. And there are even some in the ether of the world, some floating unaired pilot episodes.
They're a real trip.
Yeah, they're long format. We're taking ourselves probably maybe a little too
Raw
seriously.
wave files.
Just raw wave files.
Where are these?
Locked away. Some deep
intentionally locked
I
away.
have them on
Deep
my
dark
PC
place.
at home.
Really?
And on my...
She listens
Will
to my
they
shows, Mom.
ever see the light of day?
They could if they... if y'all wanted it to.
If they wanted
If
to.
there's demand,
Yes.
the fans release
would
the
it be a
original
problem for them to see the light of day?
No, it would just look different
know.
than what
We were-
the
You're not
current
embarrassed of any
podcast looks
comments
like.
you made, maybe? Like some real.
I do
didn't
need
age
to
well.
edit them. They are unedited. They are raw, like I said.
It's a very raw critique on society, and it might not have aged.
That would be interesting. That would.
No,
be
I'm sure they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that started in
the early 2000s.
this was around 2003.
Right.
When I was in high school in 2003.
I was growing up in the 80s.
Yeah.
It
It's
kind
been
of worked
established
out.
on the show that Jude grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Might
You know,
not
if you
know that.
listened.
You know, if you were
Okay.
true
Wow.
fan.
If you actually cared about the people.
Right.
Yeah.
The people that are
I'm sorry, you guys.
carrying the torch.
Yeah. After a short stint in, I believe I don't know, you probably remember it better than I do, but it was like a Soviet issued program. Mia had to leave the country, so the podcast kind of fell through.
It
And
was
then
around like 1940.
1945.
Yeah, okay.
1940.
Wow.
That's the second time that year.
Before the Soviet Union was a thing.
Yeah.
Well, she actually,
is such a weird.
Levi, Mia is a known founding member of the Soviet Union.
that
Yeah,
makes
the whole Iron Curtain
Oh,
idea.
that massive mustache really.
It hid. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Mia.
Yeah.
The Stalin
Mia.
stash.
Yeah, the Stalin stash. It was all, yeah.
Yeah, and then later on, the idea just kind of sat around, and then I approached you two guys, Jerry and Levi, and we're like, hey, let's...
Did you approach
and
me
get
or
this.
did I approach you?
I'm going to say that I approached you.
Okay.
But for the audio listener,
No, you did approach me. You said.
did I?
Yeah. Well,
You asked me to be on your podcast.
Yes.
you were like, I think you and I could do a podcast. And you're like, because we had this idea, we were doing it, and it's not happening anymore. Like, you and I should do one. And I was like, well, I mean, sure, I think you and I are interesting, whatever. And I like you enough. But I don't know if we could really have enough conversations that people would care about listening to, because it's going to end up just being you and me like babbling to each other,
Yeah.
like idiots. And so I was like, well, I don't think like two people. And I was like, what would the show even be? We didn't really have any direction. And the original idea was like very topical. Like we have to have like
would
a
come in-
studied topic with a lot of notes coming into it ahead of time or something like that. And I was like, I just don't know how that would work. And it just doesn't feel like I would be very good at that. And then it was like, well, maybe the three of us could do it. And then it was
That's
still
where
like,
I came in.
it was still
Wild
not going to
card.
work.
Levi.
Wild card.
But then I started listening to the Tim Hawkins podcast a lot.
That's right.
And that's where I was like, okay, the format they use, I think that would work really, really well. And so we shifted to that.
So we trained in comedy for years, so we could kind of emulate that Tim Hawkins-esque.
Well, I have connections to Will Ferrell. And so I did grease the wheels a little bit and use those.
Yeah.
And so he gave us some private improv lessons.
All you had to do is grease his wheels, and you got some private lessons.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a mechanic, and I'm not one, but I pretended to be one. So I
the hat for
greased
it.
the wheels of his car for him.
Grease a man's wheels, and you'll never work a day in your life.
That's what they say. That is the old adage.
Yeah.
That is the adage.
Grease Will Ferrell's wheels, and you'll be a comedian.
And you'll be
A comedian for life.
grease a man's wheels, and you'll never
Grease a
work
man's
day in your
wheels.
life. But grease Will Ferrell. Oh, so he's not a man.
Oh, yeah.
But grease Will Ferrell's wheels. I don't actually really like Will Ferrell that much.
Kind of felled off.
Felled
You know
off?
what I mean?
Felled off.
Nice.
It's the meme.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I've never
kind
heard
of.
it. Yeah, I'm not a huge Will Ferrell
Followed
comedy fan.
Elf is great. Do you hate Elf because you're a notorious Christmas hater?
Oh, you're asking me. Sorry. Notorious Christmas hater. Excuse you.
He is.
You hate Elf?
Yeah.
You
Corroborate.
You but
I'm not a notorious Christmas hater.
Jerry established lore on the podcast. Notoriously hates Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's actually established lore in my life.
Oh,
Yeah.
so this is real.
No.
Oh.
But
It's true.
It's what everyone around me says for me
Okay.
is that I hate Christmas.
Oh.
It's what I actually thought.
I am whatever you say I am, kind of thing.
Probably.
Very tabla rasa, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
What?
Tabla rasa, blank slate. I am whatever
Yeah,
you
the
say I am.
triangle
No.
chocolates.
You're not following.
Yeah, tabla rasa.
Those are, yeah. You got it. The triangle chocolates, tabla rasa.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you take
Y'all
Mr.
like
Bentley's?
Toblerone.
I don't like them.
Wait, you don't like Toblerone?
No.
No. Especially the white ones.
No.
I don't like it either.
Do you like them?
But that's given.
You know
Because
what
I'm
I want?
outnumbered? No.
First of all,
I hate them.
I never choose.
Way to cave.
Yeah.
I never choose to eat chocolate when I'm eating candy, if I'm eating candy.
That's fair.
But I don't dislike chocolate. But you know what I would never want out of a bar of chocolate? For it to be shaped like a spike, so that when I bite down on it, it stabs into the roof
Well,
of my
you're supposed
mouth.
to break it.
You're not supposed to eat the whole triangle.
You're supposed to break the triangles off.
I hate
it's
Hershey's
spike.
bar because I can never fit the whole bar in my
It's not
mouth.
the whole bar. It's not a big pyramid.
This big of a triangle.
I'm talking about one of the triangles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
you
like
eat it
three
like a
times.
triangular
Popeye?
cylinder.
Well, how do you eat
Oh
it?
yeah.
No, but then you're holding on to it, biting the tip off of a triangle of chocolate. Why? That's such a weird experience.
Oh man, it's rough.
And it's unique though, and you remember it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's what-
yeah.
And that's why you always go back for more.
Right.
That's
You're like, this
why you
is
go back. You go.
strange.
The chocolate was
love
middling
it.
at best, but you know why I'm coming back for another bite? Because I got to
The
bite the tip off a
iconic
triangle.
triangle shape
It defined
in a bar.
and refined the chocolate industry for pretty much the entire future.
Yeah, I mean,
Hershey's Kisses.
nothing to say against the people
Knock
that
off.
like
Wait, do you guys
Toblerone.
like chocolate with or without nuts?
It depends.
without. If I have to eat
Without?
chocolate without,
What about you?
I don't really love nuts in general.
I'm not a huge fan of nuts or chocolate.
Levi hates
Yeah,
chocolate.
Levi
That's
actually
it.
doesn't like chocolate.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
yeah, I hate it. That
Oh,
I
hate.
no like
Levi
like,
hates chocolate, like
I
how people
hate-
say I hate Christmas.
I hate chocolate. No, I actually do hate chocolate. Like it
believe
can make
you.
me gag if I eat too
Okay.
much of it. Like
I
it's
don't
just
believe
bad.
What's too much? Like a waft
gallon.
of it in the air? Is
like more than an M&M's worth.
Oh, wow.
It just kind of
Well, that could be anything. More than an M&M. That could be a vat.
If I eat a vat of
You mean
chocolate,
like
I've
two
been known to
M&Ms
gag.
worth?
if I eat like 2 M&Ms, I'm done.
You're gonna throw
Like
up.
Okay.
That's
all
pretty
right.
pathetic.
yeah, no, I yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But I hate it. I hate that I hate chocolate. I wish so bad that I could love chocolate.
Yeah.
Like I watched the
hate that
Ferrero
I'm
Rocher
different.
commercials.
so rough.
Like I watched the Ferrero Rocher commercials back in
Oh, yeah.
when I was a kid growing up.
Did
Like
you just
on the
watch them for
TV.
fun?
No, it would just be on in between. But it's like these gods pouring out this like
Ambrosia chocolate.
ambrosia chocolate of the gods, and then it like goes around the nut and it just
Yeah.
hardens, and then it's got like the gold wrapper on it, and it's just like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, in real life, I put it in my mouth.
Ferrero Rochers are kind of overrated in real life. They don't match the like ecstasy
I
that
really
the commercials.
like those.
They're good. I
Yeah.
just like. I always think it's going to be better when I bite into it.
Oh.
The center's never really enough.
Yeah,
I like
There's nothing in the center. Right?
Yeah, it's softer chocolate.
Oh, you're right. Like ganache or something.
Yeah, it's gonna. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
Gauche. It's
You
paint.
say the G?
Gauche.
Is
Is
just
it nosh?
Nosh?
Like
No,
no,
like do you
nos?
say? I don't
or
Nosh.
gnome.
It's ganache.
I'm pretty sure it's ganache.
Because it's
Or do
not
you say
spelled
it fast?
G-N. It's G-A-N, right? It's G-A-N-A-C-H-E.
It's not G-A-N. I thought it was G-N.
Oh, it's just
goodness.
straight
I
up
thought it
G-N.
was
Maybe it's
G-N.
G apostrophe
Hold
N.
Fact check.
Oh, I
G-N,
think you're
sure.
right. No, I think you're right. G-N-A.
Yeah.
But
I
I
thought it
don't.
was O.
But I believe you pronounce the G.
Wait, so do we say
Or else it's just
gnome,
Nosh.
Yeah, you don't say garden gnome,
garden gnome,
garden gnome,
and gnole?
and gnome. A garden gnome sitting on a gnome.
Is it
Garden
spelled
gnome
G-N?
sitting
Yeah.
on a gnome.
Yeah. I've only heard it pronounced with a G.
Yeah,
Like in
me too.
movies.
No, I've only heard it pronounced with the
I've
G.
just watched a lot of like Gordon Ramsay shows, you know,
And he says
just-
Nosh?
No, he doesn't entirely just say just the end, but he says the G in the end very fast.
Nosh.
Yeah.
Nosh.
But yeah, he also speaks
He
with a lot
also
of
says,
gusto and passion.
"Wha-a-ba-a."
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's what I'm gonna get my like dialectic reference from.
Yeah.
Do you like chocolate with nuts?
I do. Yeah.
Do you like chocolate?
Do you like
chocolate
chocolate with
jazz?
nuts?
Like if it's got like almonds or
Yes.
macadamia nuts
Yes.
or hazelnuts. Yeah.
Hazelnuts. Oh, those what are in Ferrero
Sometimes
Rocher.
they like I don't know.
Brazil nuts?
What?
No. Too big.
a little too big.
Brazil nuts are like the worst nut.
Yep.
They're like so greasy and oily, and they're huge. They taste so bad.
It's the difference between wheels and nuts.
Wheels?
Oh, and you want
grease and
grease.
wheels, yeah.
I could eat peanut butter peanut M&Ms like all
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Or
That's
even an
correct.
almond Hershey's.
Yeah, those are
I don't
fine.
like Hershey's, but with almonds it makes sense.
Those are right.
Nice.
I have
Just
like,
like chocolate covered walnuts. I mean almonds. I've never had a chocolate covered walnut.
What about chocolate covered raisins?
I like yogurt covered.
Does anybody actually like raisins? though?
No.
Yes.
On their own, no. I love.
Are you like 70?
Growing up in the 20s.
Have
Wait, did
some
you say you like
raisins in your
raisins?
porridge?
yeah, like the little snack packs of raisins,
Gross,
the red
man.
ones with the
Oh,
woman on them.
no.
Dude.
If they're the red ones with the woman on them, then yes. But if they're the off brands,
course.
I actually don't like them.
Weirdos.
The red raisins or the red box? With
The red box.
I think my favorite
Red
raisins,
just
are
craisins.
No, those are
Cranberries.
cranberries.
raisins.
But
are
I
delicious.
have like, my dad will buy like the gallon bags of those.
Of craisins?
Of the craisins.
Those are good.
And I'll just sit there
Don't
and
put those in a
Delicious.
salad. Yeah, that's good.
Those
I don't
are
know
amazing.
why
Salad,
it's just the
oatmeal.
difference between craisins and raisins, but
Well, they're
I'll
both
eat
a different
raisins.
thing.
They're
Well, yeah.
cranberries versus
I don't know why, but
grapes.
there's
I know.
There's
that
like
they're-
such a strong.
Stop.
because they're two different fruits.
You know what I mean? It's like prunes. No one likes prunes.
I love prunes.
I don't mind prunes actually.
That's like the leading flavor in Dr.
No.
Pepper.
Yeah, I actually don't mind prunes, but we used our great aunt used to give us prunes a lot as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I used to like prefer to have cheese over dessert as a kid, so my parents like
What?
made me eat prunes.
Oh, for a different reason you were given prunes. Got it. Okay. Wait a second. What a weird way of saying that. I used to
So
prefer
now I hate
cheese over
prunes.
dessert.
We got
That's
Ben and Jerry's.
So the implication is that you're already eating dessert on the regular, and you're then also
Everyone's
choosing
like,
not to have it.
all
and
right,
like, can I
here
have
comes
cheese
the
instead?
popcorn for movie night. And then you just see her in the corner with a block of cheese.
No, I was like 5, but
No, bad.
No,
Start throwing
more normal than that, Levi. Here comes, birthday cake, and she's like, "Nah, give me cheese."
no,
Give me
that's too
cheesecake.
sweet.
Give me her birthday party is just a block of cheese with the candles.
That'd be kind of cool.
Sharp cheddar?
If it would be like extra sharp white cheddar, I actually would want that. You know how expensive those blocks are?
lot.
Yeah, it's like $11 for a little tiny.
It's
spoon.
so dumb.
Like even Tillamook brand?
Yeah, no, that's it's expensive. You know?
Spency.
Okay,
Yeah.
take it.
You can't say anything.
It's Spencer.
You just
It's
dated
Spencer.
yourself.
sounds like
Great.
like the nickname you'd give to somebody named Spencer.
Spency?
Hey guys, let's go to Spency's.
And so, and
We do not.
We don't
we
endorse
definitely
Spencer.
don't endorse Spencer.
Nor do we endorse the
We do not recommend
Also, we don't endorse-
Spencer's on this show.
Yeah,
don't
people named
endorse
Spencer.
cheese. People named Spencer.
What if we
kidding.
have listeners named Spencer?
Well,
feel
they're
like
the
I'm-
exception.
Okay, y'all
we
are great.
love them.
Yeah, we love them.
Hey, Spency's.
Oh, no.
Maybe that's what we should call
No,
people.
no, no. We could
People that
find
listen to the show
Instead
instead
of our little UTIs.
Little UTIs is so good.
No, that's terrible.
They seem to love it.
They like it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We've
my
had
goodness.
people
You
show
could call
up
anyone
with
anything these
tattoos
days.
on their forehead, little UTI.
That hasn't happened, but there are some people who greatly identify as UTIs.
Wow.
People, you know.
myself included.
Okay.
No,
Oh, goodness.
No, we probably don't.
I
we're not.
identify greatly as a UTI.
can
You put
identify
that
as
on
anything
government
nowadays.
forms too?
I do,
you know?
yeah.
I think you probably could because a lot
You
of
initial all of your government forms with UTI.
Yeah.
well, when it says
Wow.
like gender, it's like male, female, other. Insert
UTI.
here, and you put UTI.
UTI.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
But then you
identify
check a
as
different
UTI.
box, but you just have that as an option.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Jude checks Hispanic and then puts.
Get out.
I'm a UTI.
All right, hey,
Don't want to make it weird.
yeah, you're making it
I
weird.
like it though. It's fun.
I like it though. It's fun.
it though.
Jude,
Yes.
tell me about
Tell me about
the feud.
it.
Okay. Two soda empires feuding. Dr. Pepper versus Sierra Mist. Go.
It's a wild battle, dude.
We don't have a stinger for this yet, but this is a new segment that we're returning to now, which is called Totally Accurate History with Jude.
Yeah. So
I like that it's not even comparable flavors.
No, it's
That are
not
fighting
like
each other.
Pepsi.
they're also
It's not like
I may
root
have
beer
misrepresented
and,
the segment.
and Dr. Pepper.
absolutely demolished the
Like,
segment.
that's
I
kind of
entirely
like the-
misrepresented the segment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they are different, but they're like fill out that same
Yeah.
niche.
The same niche, lemon lime and prune.
No, Dr. Pepper versus root beer.
Oh, root beer.
Jude,
My bad.
Jude and I were having a separate conversation while the two of you
Yeah.
were talking amongst yourselves.
There's not really a war. As of
A
2018,
war? There's not really a war.
between oh my god,
Goes to his notes.
so happy.
Oh my goodness.
Bad happened.
The phone break?
Oh my goodness! What?
I'll fix it.
Wait, isn't this the
It's
new
just this
phone?
website. For some reason, I took it into landscape mode. Now it's bugging out on me. As of
it still?
2018, let's see. Dr. Pepper made 7.5% of soda sales worldwide, and Sierra Mist mathematically made 0.
What?
Yeah, rounding.
Well, does
So
anyone
it's not
like-
really a war between them. I do have something interesting.
It's-
Dr. Pepper, not made by a doctor.
What?
Yeah. If you look
No
at the can,
way.
there's no period after the DR.
So it doesn't mean doctor.
It's not doctor. It's named after the soda's creator, Diedrich Robert Pepper.
That's so much cooler.
It's so much.
Wait, his middle name is Roderick?
Diedrich.
That's such a
Roderick
cool middle
Pepper.
name.
Yeah.
I
Did
like
I
how
say
it's-
Roderick?
I thought you did.
I meant to say Robert.
Yeah, you said it
Yeah.
because it's
Less
a little bit like
Yeah, I was like, his name wasn't
Diedrich.
It's Diedrich
Robert.
Robert.
The older
Pepper.
brother from Die Every Wimpy Kid. Pepper.
Pepper. In like when soda was this topical thing that was because Coca-Cola was originally made as a like faux what is that called, like tincture to help with stuff.
Yeah.
Before it actually,
Snake
and it
oil.
had cocaine in it.
Wild
And
times.
Diedrich, who was a big fan of cocaine, wanted to make his own like medicinal drink. Couldn't get his hands on any though because it kept disappearing every time he got it. Who knows where it went?
What, the cocaine?
Yeah.
Who knows?
He had an issue, but only a madman could come up with this idea because Coca-Cola used cocoa leaves, orange zest,
Cocoa leaves?
lemon, cacao. Orange zest, lemon for this really like unique flavor.
Yeah.
Diedrich Robert Pepper was just like, what can I do to combat that?
Yeah.
And he grew up on a a plum ranch, and then all these plums would fall down and they'd start to prune. And so
They
he thought,
ranch plums.
yeah,
They're plum ranchers.
Ranch-
Not farmers. They're plum ranchers.
plum ranchers.
They're out there lassoing plums,
And
dragging
they have
them around.
all these excess plums that would fall off that are just on the ground, dirty, and they'd shrivel up. And he goes, I've got a great idea.
What if I drank that?
What if I drink?
Yeah, because he'd seen the squirrels drinking or eating them
Just
after they
Capri
sat on
Sunned
the
it.
ground, and they had fermented. And so these squirrels would be running around crazy, make them super easy to catch. So while he's eating squirrel meat, he'd be thinking like, "How can I bring this full circle?" And
they
so he
taste
took squirrels.
Yeah, if they were eating. Was...
I haven't eaten a drunk squirrel, so I couldn't tell you.
Please don't eat a squirrel.
Have you eaten squirrel? Has anyone eaten squirrel?
I mean, people have, yeah. Are you
I think I tried it.
Did you try squirrel?
Yeah, when I went to Ohio, I've got a.
I thought you were
got
gonna say
family
somewhere
out there.
exotic, you know?
No,
You're just
no.
like, oh,
When I went to
I don't
Ohio.
think in places exotic they eat squirrel. I think that's a backwater, like,
We hit a squirrel, and I thought, well,
yeah.
Why not?
No, that's like
Yeah.
small
get
towns
the
in the U.S.
fries. Yeah.
yeah, Levi deep fried a whole squirrel. Very gamey.
Yuck, man.
Yeah.
No, so it was made from fermented prunes. The alcohol content was similar to that of absinthe or moonshine. It was off the charts. And that's why record sales went up, and it actually combated Coca-Cola for a while. But that's the true story, the very true, real story.
That
of
is
Dr.
totally
Pepper.
true.
Absolutely the truth.
It's a historical fact.
Yeah. What is also a historical fact, but not, but even more true. All truth
could you
is
be
true.
more true?
All truth is true, but some truth is more true.
Is this what you're teaching your podcast listeners?
Animal Farm.
We've got a
reference.
cult.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
All truth is true. Some truth is more true.
Right.
Sierra Mist just changed their name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did you hear about this? It's called Starry.
Yeah.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the statistic I gave was actually true about how Sierra Mist made like statistically 0% of.
Right. Because obviously they sold
Because
something.
now
but
they're
it's
called Starry.
No, because that was in 2018.
2018 they switched on it? Oh, no.
No,
zero
that's
that's
when
where
they
the
made
statistic
zero.
came
Yeah.
from. But
That's weird. Isn't Sierra Mist like Pepsi's Sprite, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Coke owns Sprite.
But I was like awestruck at when I was doing my route a few weeks ago. I hadn't heard about this, and there were these massive displays where they stack up all the boxes and everything. But it was this weird logo. It said Starry, lemon lime, whatever. And I was like, what Hodunk soda brand had enough money
You mean
to be?
Hodunk?
Is there a difference?
Well, Hodunk is not a thing, but it's
I've
actually
heard both.
Hodunk.
Hodunk.
Okay, I've heard Hodunk in a specific context.
What is Hodunk?
Only on the Tim Hawkins podcast, they call their fans Hodunks
Oh, that's right.
because they mixed Podunk with Hoedown, and they called them Hodunks.
Oh.
I've never heard of any.
You heard Hodunk?
No.
I've heard Hodunk and
Sure, yeah.
Podunk.
Hey,
I've heard neither.
like,
2 to 2.
You never heard Podunk?
Podunk?
No,
Little Podunk
okay.
town.
Little Podunk
Okay, fine,
town?
I've heard of it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering what like Hodunk Podunk little soda brand had the money to be in like a variety of different stores with massive displays right by the checkout stand. And so I looked it up, and Sierra Mist just changed their branding. One, because the name is lame, and the
Starry
logo
is not better.
And Starry sucks. It doesn't make any sense.
And
it's lemon lime.
How hard is it gonna be to push a new like name for?
Well, they have the money, but like not for long. Apparently, because their sales are decreasing, but they're still a major, player in the game because they're at least on the chart. Dude, wow.
Sorry, I just found out something really interesting about Sierra Mist by looking something up.
It's not about the mountains. It's about a woman named Sierra.
No. Oh. I mean, is that true?
No.
No,
maybe.
I just didn't. This is not the first time they've changed their name.
Oh.
In 2016, the drink was rebranded as Mist Twist.
Oh,
But then it reverted back to Sierra Mist in 2018.
I saw Miss Twist and I thought it was just
The
like
brand was aimed at competing with the Coca-Cola company Sprite brand.
That's what they said. That's the reason they changed it to Starry. So
they're just like a flailing dead
you miss every shot you don't take.
animal. Like
They're a flailing dead
what's the
animal.
word I'm looking for? Death throes, right?
They're in death
They're
throes.
in death.
Yeah.
death throes.
Death's door
I think I
throes.
said it wrong.
Doorknobs and death throws.
Doorknobs and
Doorknobs and
death
death
throes.
throes.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
goodness.
No, but it's just wild. Starry is
wild.
terrible.
Yeah.
And Sierra Mist has such a recognizable logo. And
Yeah.
now
Well,
because
Starry
it's existed
is
so
just this dumb, like, lemon star. I don't know. It makes me really upset.
Lemon
I don't care
star?
about Sierra Mist, really. I'll drink Sprite
why
or
does it
Sierra
make you
Mist or
upset?
whatever's in front of me. It's an ugly logo.
Starry
But isn't,
soda.
like-
Look it up. Oh yeah, it is kind of. It looks like they're trying to go for like an 80s kind of. Is it this?
Yeah, that's Starry.
Gross.
Gross. Why do we care?
It blows my mind. Sierra Mist, the
That
mountain
does,
range.
yeah.
Such a good, aesthetically pleasing looking can.
And it's already like that is what is said instead of 7-Up in like media and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Cause it's like the cola. Like, cause you can't say like Coca-Cola
Yeah,
in shows,
yeah.
so they just have cola because it's like the off-brand. Cause I hear Sierra Mist in things.
All the time.
Yeah.
I just think it had one of the most unique looking cans because it was
Unless
like
it's
a
a
real.
lucky.
I don't think you thought it was unique until this happened.
Yeah.
I
No, that's true.
Okay.
Because it had the mountain and then it had the lemon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There, it was like a.
It was a
obviously it's
very
not
Pacific
HD.
Northwest.
Well, yeah, maybe it's a
kind of.
little Pacific Northwest pride.
No, I'm not saying that's a reason to invalidate what you're saying. I think I never thought about that.
I mean, I think that the mountain for like the Coors Light, I think that that's much more like an iconic thing than like the mountain range being on the
yeah.
Sierra Mist. Because I didn't even know.
I forgot about it.
I didn't know that there was a mountain on the
Yeah, they're
logo
the
for
Sierras.
Sierra Mist.
The Sierras.
Yeah.
the mountains.
I mean, no, that
The Misty Mountains.
No, I just didn't know that I didn't think about the mountain being on part of the logo.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's the only soda can that doesn't have like a very bold cartoon.
You tell us, listeners. Did you know there was a mountain? No, none of you care.
Did you know that there was a mountain?
On
I'm
the
trying
Sierra
to
Mist
do
can.
Tucker Carlson, but I can't.
Oh.
You can do a better Tucker Carlson.
Can I? I've
Tucker
literally
probably.
never
You've
tried
done
that.
it, and I've said that's a really good Tucker Carlson, and then you go,
There's no way.
absolutely.
When have I ever done a Tucker Carlson impression?
No, it's not that you do
On
an impression.
accident.
You'll say something you're like, don't you find that weird, liberals?
Don't you find that weird, liberals?
Jerry says that a lot. Yeah, great
yeah,
Tucker Carlson.
I don't say that a lot. The way I just said it was the farthest thing from it. Or furthest.
When Jerry and I are just like driving to go work
Yeah.
out or something, he'll just be like, he'll just rant about.
Well, don't you
politics.
find that?
No, it
Don't
actually
you find that weird, liberals?
Because it's going.
Why don't you find that weird, liberals?
Lapros?
Labros?
Listen here, you lapros. You're all weird, like
You
finding it all
laterals?
weird around it hard.
Yeah, that's me.
It's really good Tucker Carlson.
That is incredible, Tucker Carlson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty fascinating. I didn't know you cared so much about soda
So sorry.
Well,
or pop if you're from the south.
so
Sody
a big-
pop.
Sody pop.
Sody pop.
Yeah, I do. I'm super impassioned about it, and it has a lot to do with the National Cornhole League because it's a big sponsor.
Here we
Sierra
go
Mist.
And now you have to change all those signs.
And now we're gonna have to change all the signs.
Starry.
Wait.
yeah.
Was Sierra Mist your sponsor in the National Cornhole League?
No
The
comment.
NCL?
No comment.
Or the NCHL, sorry.
Yeah. National Cornhole League. I don't want to talk about it. I don't think I'm legally able to at this moment, but I
Oh,
will
that
say
means
this.
that's a yes.
I will say this, Twitter world. Changes are coming. I have plans. I
I've
have
already
plans
come.
that I cannot elaborate, or else the haters will get to me. But I have
haters.
plans Changes are coming, Seramist. Starry. Changes are
Are
coming.
you threatening Seramist?
I am not.
No.
I would like to go
Changes
on
are
record and
coming.
say I'm not threatening
I've got him on
Sierra
speed
Mist,
dial.
and I'm not
I'll
winking.
Like the
tell him.
Papa John's interview.
But
Yeah. Whatever
anyone-
happened? Did he anything ever? Because he
Nothing
said,
happened.
Dude,
he was
he-
like, "I'm coming for you" or whatever.
like, no, the
like-
day of reckoning.
That's
Yes.
the day of reckoning.
is not. And he's
nothing happened?
But he's like, I have eaten like 40 pizzas in the last
In the
2
month.
weeks or whatever.
I thought it was like 40 pizzas.
It's
40
like
pizzas
it's
in
like in a
30
month,
days.
but it's
That's
more.
more than a
it's-
pizza a day.
Yes.
It's more than a pizza a day, and he's sitting there. He's got these bright lights on him, and you can see all this. It looks like he's just
Oh
grease,
my goodness.
just grease.
The
pouring
lighting
out
is
of him.
unflattering, which
No,
adds
yeah,
to
it
the.
is.
I think he
effect.
says 30 pizzas in 30 days.
No,
thought it
it
came
was
out to
more.
more
It
than
was
a-
more than one pizza a day.
What was this for?
So it was
So-
way back when Papa John got
You know
This-
Papa John?
he got canceled,
I know.
and
The
removed
owner
from
got
the company,
canceled
that whole
'cause
thing.
he- yeah.
Right.
But afterward, he was like on a news like 60
He wanted.
minutes or something.
He wanted to say, have his word.
Yeah, and
He was
just
on What
saying,
Would You
like-
Do with John Quinones.
Yeah, he was just like saying that that there was a bunch of conspiracy too beyond just what was in the public.
Things are gonna come out in the coming
Yeah.
days. The day of reckoning.
The day of reckoning.
Kind of like how they were saying like it's reminiscent of like when Trump's lawyers or whatever after the election were like the Kraken will be released, just like
Yeah.
that
said
kind of
that?
mentality. Yeah,
That's cool.
somebody said something
But
about
it's like-
the Kraken, I think.
Yeah, and
but
then
like
just-
and then nothing happened.
Well, there was a Kraken release in the Pacific Northwest, but
That's true.
But that's neither here nor there.
yeah.
Totally
Yeah,
unrelated.
That's just a real monster.
Yeah, White City is gone. Seaside is
White
in
City?
flames. Isn't White City
You
on
picked
the coast?
No, I don't think so.
Isn't it?
It's in the
I
middle
have
of
actually
Nevada.
no idea.
Totally accurate geography with Jude.
I thought that you picked two totally distinct, like one that's on the coast and one that's like in Eastern Oregon. Somehow the Kraken just like
I might have. I might have.
plucked White City out of Eastern Oregon and
I
threw
might
it
have
into
done
the ocean.
that. We'll see.
Well, there's a big sewer system that goes directly to the ocean.
You got some
And he can't fit, but
Bad
some
news
of his
for
tentacles.
Jude.
But some of his tentacles.
Yeah.
You know why I
Real
thought it
now.
wasn't on the coast? We have kettle corn in coastal in White City, and
Yeah.
we have no. Well, I said the word coastal. We have no stores that we sell our kettle corn in on the coast.
It looks like from the coastline to White City,
It's like 2.5 hours.
Salem is closer to the coast. But that just goes to show
That
you
goes
how
to
much
show how-
damage this
Yes.
Kraken has done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
How
Oregon
come
is in
I've
shambles.
never heard of this.
Well, you're not very
The
well
Kraken?
informed, I guess.
Yeah.
Or White City.
Well,
Do you believe
watch
in
Fox
Krakens?
News?
No.
Oh, you're listening to biased media. They won't talk about the Kraken.
they won't talk about the Kraken.
They won't talk about the Kraken destroying a part of the United States of America.
You know what CNN doesn't want you to know?
There is no Kraken.
That a Kraken
You're the
plucked
Kraken.
White City out of Oregon.
A mostly peaceful attack from an unidentified sea creature.
They don't want to say what it is.
You know why? Because it's White City.
In other news,
He's a
Black
sea
Butte.
creature of interest.
Yeah.
A sea creature of interest. If you're enjoying this conversation that you're listening to,
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? You can enjoy more of it if you join us on Discord.
That's right, Jerry.
Get regular updates. What?
That's right, Jerry.
Oh, you're playing into the news anchor.
That's right, Jerry.
Get regular updates about
Back to
this
you.
podcast. Get regular updates about other podcasts. And you can play video games with a bunch of like-minded people, or you can have Bible discussions, join a prayer group. We just recently started our next season of Prayer Partners. It's been amazing. This has been one of the more interesting ones so far for me. It's an opportunity to kind of get connected with other community members and fellowship with fellow believers and pray with someone and for someone. So if those sorts of things sound interesting to you, we would love to see you over there on Discord at discord.gg/Christian Influence.
And now we're going to throw it over to Mia in the field.
Oh no.
How's it going over there?
I'm gonna throw it back to you. I can't catch.
I can't catch.
So then how'd you throw it?
And how did you throw it back? That's not all, Jerry. As Christian Influence is an expanding business empire. We're not a business empire.
Okay, thank you. We're a ministry.
We're taking out a lot of new stuff, and we're expanding any chance we get. And so if you want to support that in any way, Support. If you want to support Christian Influence, you can go anywhere, but the best place to go would be the Christian Influence Patreon.
Is this Mickey Mouse?
It sounded like Jordan Peterson doing a Mickey Mouse impression.
It kind of
Here's the deal. If you want to support Christian Influence even more, what can you do? What can any of us really do anymore?
So you get some occasional behind the scenes or extra content if you support on Patreon. It's not super regular, but you get some. Maybe those episodes we were talking about earlier could go there.
But in the coming
there
days,
are some great conversations.
There really
on there.
was.
Don't get me wrong.
We
I
had
just
a
never
guest
got
on?
around to edit. Oh yeah, we had guests
Yeah.
on there.
You had
I
guests?
feel
We had guests. I
more
remember.
bad
more badliest.
Okay.
about the fact that you had a guest on and that never came to fruition. So
he's
how
a good
cool,
guest.
how
It was a
cool
really
he
good
must have thought it
Brendan.
was to be like, I get to be on my friend's podcast, and then it never saw the light of day.
I was
Brandon
so
Reichelt.
hyped. to
Hashtag
be
justice
on
for
your
Brendan.
podcast.
I
I was so
Brendan
hyped. I did
Reichelt.
like.
Well, look at now you are
stuff.
full time on this
Yeah.
podcast.
And how does it feel? Get out.
Oh, okay. Are you not gonna release this one? You're like,
No,
this
we're
is
not going to
punishment.
really. No, I'm just-
This is all one
This is
giant
just-
ploy for
it was all
to reconcile what
ploy of-
never was released
yeah.
in the past.
There was an idea, and that wasn't an Avengers reference on the original.
I have to amend something I said. Not Reichelt. That was a joke. Brendan Sanders.
Sanderson.
Yeah.
Brendan
Sanders.
Brandon Sanderson. On
Brendan Sandbags.
Oh, that's who you
Sandbags.
referenced.
Yeah.
Brendan Sandman.
No. We should
Sand
just
in my
have him on
shorts.
sometime.
Yeah,
Whenever
I really
he's in
enjoyed
town,
it.
yeah.
That's true.
He's in like Jamaica or something.
No. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He's in Washington.
Brendan, man.
DC.
No. Sure.
Doesn't he go to
other
school in
side.
Washington?
Brendan's Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House.
That'd be so cool.
Dethroned by
What were you about to say?
Pelosi. There was an idea on our podcast.
Oh yeah.
On our podcast?
What is
On our
it?
podcast.
On our podcast.
Okay.
Where oh man, this might be actually stupid to bring up. We had an idea where because ours was the original few episodes was really heavily structured. We'd come in with a topic.
Recorded 3?
Were there 3 or 4?
I think there's 4.
4.
I thought there was 5 because there was that secret one that we're
There
not
could
going to
be-
release for
We
another
don't
year
talk about
after.
that one.
So 4.
That's right.
You're saying?
Where we would, since we would come on with topics, and usually we would take kind of opposing sides,
Right.
and then try and give credit or ground to each
Right.
side of an argument. Like we've kind of brought up free will versus predestination, or like that's how it was
So
structured.
your podcast was like debate club.
Kind of,
Kind
but
of.
also it was also just we would talk about a topic, and Jude was really good about posing like questions that people might be wondering.
Oh yeah,
That people that already have this stance or belief don't know or think about.
Kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's weird. I would expect you to be
you'd
good at that.
never think.
I'd never pegged him to ever
Yeah, that's not
do
true.
that.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I don't know what else to say.
Oh.
We had an idea where we would bring up fictional characters. We would come in as a fictional character of our choosing, right? And then we would argue from that fictional character's point of view. Oh. And I know they got floated around a bit.
Why did you
remember
never
that
bring
at all?
this topic idea to us?
Well, I was just
That
thinking
would have
about
been
the
so cool.
I was thinking
so
about the Patreon. If we ever wanted to record extra content, or if you're
Oh, you
interested,
mean like the topics that we talked about?
it doesn't have to be those. It could be those. It could be any topic.
Gotcha.
but you have to argue it and like as if you are Superman or something?
Yeah,
No,
you
as-
come in as a
I am Abraham Lincoln.
I'm Gandalf the
Anakin
Grey.
Skywalker. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And you argue
character.
from
I
their
get it.
point
I
of
get
view.
You have
Yeah.
to try and like think what they would think about like what Anakin's
Yeah.
point of view of
You know,
predestination would be.
That's actually really funny because I went to Corbin
Abortion not
University
good, is it?
and I took a class called Worldview Seminar, and this professor, Worldview Seminar, and this professor, his name is Professor Ryan Stark. He's awesome. Yeah, he's great. No. Okay, anyways. But our final was you had to write a paper, like write a story of 5 different characters with different like worldviews. Interacting and doing something, whether that's playing a game of D&D or walking through an art museum and like
Changing a light bulb.
Yeah. Sure, changing a light bulb.
How long did it have to be?
About like at least 3 pages, but like mine was, most of them are pretty long if you put the effort into it,
Yeah.
because you add dialogue, you add feelings, you add,
Speech bubbles.
interaction.
Felix.
Jude doesn't like that word.
We try not to use that
Yeah.
word around here.
Yeah. It's a trigger word for Jude.
Oh,
Yeah.
Feelings.
I peed, yeah.
Oh
Ew, what?
Yeah, just now he got triggered.
Stop saying the word.
Feelings.
No.
No.
Oh, feelings.
Jerry!
That's cool. What were your 5 characters?
I don't remember all 5, to be completely honest, but I know
Who's your
Hitler
favorite?
was one.
Hitler?
Yeah, no, actually.
He's not a character. He's a person. He was a
You
person.
could choose
Well,
real people.
He's a historical.
He's a real
character.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
Gandalf, actually. Oh, I slapped the
I
table.
bet they got along.
Yeah, well.
There, if you've read the book The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, there's a character in there that I put in.
That's cool.
I don't remember the other 2 because this was my freshman year of college, but
Oscar the Grouch.
Oscar the
been
Grouch.
great.
That would be
In a
genius
ring
because-
with
No, 5 different
Gandalf,
perspectives.
Hitler.
I got Hitler already.
The great nation of Germany will rise again.
Gandalf is a supporter, apparently.
Yeah.
We need to take this ring to Germany.
Take this ring to Austria.
I have to go see an art student.
He's traveling the multiverse into our reality.
Just child Hitler painting
All
looking
right,
out the
I
window.
think we can.
Yeah.
Gandalf!
Yeah. So it's the same scene.
Gandalf!
It's the same scene where Frodo's like running up,
sitting
to
in
Gandalf.
his basement, and he's just like, Gandalf, a wizard is never late. And then the Soviets
Yeah.
descend.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
I know he really is a big fan of the Bible.
He's English.
What?
Of the Bible.
Oh no, he cares enough about the Bible. He just doesn't like Leviticus.
Yeah.
He really does not like Leviticus.
I've heard that whenever he goes to hotels and he tears out Leviticus and throws it away.
Survived
Like a
prostate
turtle
cancer.
tortoise thing.
He survived. Wow, good for him.
Yeah.
He survived something? What did he
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
That is quite the feat. Good for him. It would be sad to see him go.
He's a good actor.
He's a pretty talented actor.
Yeah. Subtle.
What? We're not on camera.
I know. It was just funny for me. I have something I want to talk to you guys
I just
about.
slapped you in the face.
Yeah. This is my smooth segue into the discussion of the
Mia's past
episode.
heroin usage.
Mia is actually a
No.
what are you, a month sober? A month
A month.
clean?
A month is a little
2
generous.
days.
2 days. That's right. Mia's a
I know a
struggling
lot already.
heroin addict. That's not true.
She's just wrangling up the funds.
She is an alcoholic. We
No, I'm not. I promise.
yeah, you are. You don't have to hide it. It's a supportive group. We all are struggling with our own things.
Yeah.
In mine's
Levi,
alcoholism?
Dog fights, alcoholism.
Levi's good friends with Michael Vick, actually.
I have used heroin. Anyway, I wanted to talk about
Let's not glorify
mission
the
trips.
previous thing.
Yeah.
Mission trips. You
What
ever been
about
on
'em?
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, multiple.
Wow. I had
Makes
dinner.
me better than the rest of you.
It does. Jerry's getting to heaven first.
Well, he's
just by a
about
few
to say
seconds.
how the more mission strips that you go on, the worse of a person.
the worst of
you
a
are.
person you are. That's right.
Because you're in it for you.
You get up to the pearly gates and it's like Guatemala, Mexico. Look at you, Jerry. Jude, San Felipe.
San Felipe. Jude, you went to San Francisco once.
Yeah. I had dinner with a friend and we were talking about mission trips because I'm going to Mexico at the end of March. And he offered a critique that I hadn't really heard before, but wasn't like extraordinary. And I disagree with it, but I do want to say this is not to call him out or like put him on blast. I know he doesn't listen to the podcast, so I'm going to put him on blast. He had talked about how mission trips, he doesn't like them when it's something that you could just, or I don't want to put words in his mouth. He really doesn't like when people go on mission trips and do physical work for a community when that could be done by just taking like an excavator down there or like paying for it to be done rather than sending people to do the work, just paying for the work to be done by like a professional construction company or something. And I know a little bit about when you guys went to Mexico. You guys like literally moved a small
Like a portion of a
mountain.
Yeah. Well, it makes it
knoll.
sound. Yeah, we were like jackhammering the side of this mountain where a church was, kind of, and breaking up all the rock and then carrying it up the side of that hill and then dumping
And
it
then
off.
dumping it onto the other
Yeah.
side.
It was like hard physical labor. That was just like 3 days of the trip, and then we did other things as well. Like
I oversaw putting in a septic tank into a house.
That's-
and then we like
don't envy that.
we like did some deconstruction of some like houses and stuff, and then we did some stuff like with like a VBS there with some of the kids there, and then it was mostly physical labor, but then there were also some like programs and stuff that we were a part of, like running some stuff with kids.
When I went down, it was also VBS half the time. Then half the time was physical labor, but it was even less. We were just painting houses. We were helping out around the houses any way we could, but it was mostly redoing paint because it was all dark colors, and so we would put another layer like white up. And I really enjoyed it, not just because it was fun, but because I thought I made connections with the people and I really got to people's hearts. But his critique was that we should be maybe a little more focused on raising the money to send a group down there that can do what you did, for instance, like jackhammering more efficiently and quicker, rather than just sending us down to do it as labor, as kind of a like...
Which is cheaper,
but it's kind of just like rewarding for us, rather than actually getting the work done more efficiently.
I understand where he's coming from, but I wholeheartedly disagree.
I disagree
Only in the
as
sense
well.
that there is an element to what he's saying that could be true, but it's about intention of who's going down there. But based on just the way it's being presented, I disagree. But continue what you're saying, sorry.
I disagreed as well. My only argument was that there's a difference between someone walking out their door and seeing that rocky knoll get removed by a construction company, and then someone walking out their door and seeing young adults and kids doing it, and then being able to talk to them and form like a human connection, and then spread the gospel through that way. He was a fan of doing VBSs and things,
Right.
but the physical labor is just more important, that you should try and raise the money rather than try and raise the money to send people down there and do it.
Right.
And I had never really heard that critique, and
It's a
intellectually-
different amount of money that's necessary to raise.
but you could do the job so much better. Like, you guys aren't trained.
I think that they had a couple people that were trained, like that used the jackhammer.
Yeah.
And
they just have us do the stuff that you quite literally need warm bodies for.
yeah, you just need to throw bodies at the machine.
But like that's probably the most effective way to do what we did. Like if you have a group of teenagers going down to Mexico to serve a church, and this church is like, oh, this is great because we have a project that we want to get done, and we don't have enough people in our congregation who are able-bodied, or I don't know if they didn't, but I would assume that that's why we did it. And it's like, oh, hey, well, we have 20 teenagers coming down there.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, great. We've got 2 jackhammers. Those teenagers can all run wheelbarrows up and down a hill
Wouldn't it?
for free.
So the where we were, what we were doing, at least, like that's all we can talk to. The geography of the location would have made it difficult to use like certain
Equipment.
equipment.
Oh yeah, you could not have gotten.
Gotten like an excavator up there?
No.
Yeah.
Like it was just much easier to just have like people. Like I mean, it was hard on
Easier. I mean, it was accessible
like
that way. Like
it was way more accessible to do it that way instead of having to do a ton of work to like get it into operation.
also just because of the accessibility of it, would have been very expensive to have machinery go in there.
But wouldn't your guys' resources, since you are just warm bodies in that situation, be better spent on the things that you can do utilizing more than just literally warm bodies? Like if you had everyone at a VBS, because there's no shortage of kids, right, that need...
Well, the VBS isn't 24/7. So the VBS, when it was going on, guess what we weren't doing? The physical labor. We were doing the VBS. But during the hours of the day where there was no VBS, we were... So that we're not just sitting around.
We'll do that with conjunction of paying someone to go down there, because then the quality of the work is going to be so
then
much
we go
better.
down there, we do the VBS for the hours it takes place, and the rest of the time we just lounge around?
No, you help with the construction or whatever, but you actually focus more on getting the money to pay for the work to be quality, right? So like what if instead of painting the houses, we had raised money to have someone go down there and completely redo the exterior of all the houses,
Right.
so that it won't need a new
Well,
coat
then that's
of
a
paint
different
every-
thing. That's a different thing that's...
But isn't that worth more? Shouldn't we be like, it's one standard deviation above what we're raising money for? Shouldn't we just strive for that?
Is the value of the service based off of the quality of the end result, or is the value of the service based off of the fact that it's like you are doing service? Is the value of the service even what's important, Or is it the service itself that's what is what
It is the service, and you can do better service. That's just the quality of the service. If it's better, is then better, right? Like it's not about.
I mean, you're taking the opposing stance here.
Yeah, just to try to give
Right.
his argument weight, because I know we just talked about it over Chinese food, and we weren't like dissecting it, but it was a critique that
Nothing
kind
good
of
is ever discussed over Chinese food.
well,
Except for Chinese food.
except for Chinese food. We were talking a lot about Chinese food. Very good Chinese food.
You went to my favorite Chinese restaurant,
We did. I got your favorite dish.
What's your favorite Chinese restaurant?
John's in
Oh,
Kaiser.
Kaiser, yeah.
So good. Except,
Only because their spicy mushroom chicken is
dude,
second to none.
he got it with noodles instead of rice. Might be better.
Well, it's probably spicier because the noodles will like soak up all that spicy
I don't know. He
sauce.
didn't get the spicy.
So here's the thing to be said about missions trips. Is it, wait,
Missions.
sorry, is it mission trips or missions
think it matters.
trips?
I don't know if
Okay.
it matters.
I mean, there is a
And-
right way to say it, but go ahead.
No, I know. Okay, so part of the purpose of going on them is that they're humbling, both for, well, mostly for the people going on them, because it's not supposed to be a vacation. It's supposed to be you're going to work and work hard in, for fulfilling a need.
Yeah.
Whether that's in your own city or that's in another country. But you're going there to work. You're going there to serve. You're not going there, it could be, you could get better quality if you raise more money and then send somebody else to do it. But it gives you, the person that's working, the different experience of going down there and doing it yourself, learning how things are constructed, learning about the area that you're in, learning about how to communicate with people that you don't know or know anything about, and getting to the other aspect is, when somebody, like you said, Jude, looks outside of their door and sees 20 teenagers that could have, spent their 2 weeks or a month doing something else in their summer, and they're giving that up and serving, what does that say about people that follow Christ? These people, they care about serving, right?
Yeah.
It's you're being a witness in that aspect.
I agree. That was my only rebuttal that I could kind of come up with over
And
the Chinese
yeah, I
food.
mean, when I went on my missions trip, we had, we built, we did some additions to a church, built bathrooms, built classrooms, and we also did a VBS, and we also did door-to-door walking and evangelizing. And so everybody took turns doing all those things, and the people that were better at the construction would, any extra would stay there. The people that were better at communicating, would, go and evangelize, and, the other people that wanted to spend time with kids would spend time with the kids. But the point is, everybody got to learn about, learn and actually, put in the work and sweat and be told what to do, obey the commands, and, just work together as a team, which is why I think it's important to get people, especially young people, to do missions. Because we have it a lot better over here and we don't realize it.
I definitely agree. I think it's important. There's this idea of some Christians who go on missions trips as a vacation, right? And then they come back. But then the response to that can sometimes be that the missions trip is not for you. It's for these people.
Yeah.
But there is a layer of it that is for you.
Yeah.
And that is the
Right.
humbling experience because it's kind of necessary. And I think
Yeah.
I would say that VBS obviously does that, working with these kids who have it far worse. Immeasurably worse than we do.
Yeah.
But also doing the manual labor that the construction workers aren't doing, that normal people have to do, also
Yeah.
is a super humbling experience because
Yeah.
it puts you in the place of just a normal person there who's having to do this, even though there are independent contractors who could. Normal people just have to do this, and so
Right.
you're getting to experience both sides. And so I think the benefits for the person going down on the mission trip, you're also benefited by doing VBS and
Right.
hard labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't just be the reason you do it, obviously.
No.
But I think, so missions as a whole, they are, obviously we are told in the Bible to go and preach to all nations, to go and make disciples throughout the world, right? And service is one of the most effective ways to demonstrate love, right? And that service can look like a whole bunch of different things. It doesn't have to just be this like physical labor. It can be, like you were saying, right? You go down there and the people who are more inclined to physical labor or in construction or things like that, right? They're going to use their God-given talents effectively. And then the people who are gifted in the way of speaking are going to use their God-given talents, right? And so missions are really an opportunity for the church to do what the church should be doing for the church, which is using their gifts and talents to support the church, but then also getting an opportunity to use those gifts and talents to evangelize, right? And so the opportunity for service to unbelievers is the chance to show them that we are in the world, but not of the world, right? Because it is not a worldly thing to humble yourself and to be a servant to another person, right? But we are given this command, right, to humble ourselves and to serve other people like a bond servant, right? And so if we are it does not mean that raising money for and then paying for things that are, out of the country or in other places is wrong. But if we have the opportunity to, not spend all this money to do it, to be able to do it ourselves, use that money somewhere where money has to be used, where we can't just do it ourselves, right? And also an opportunity to humble ourselves, like you were saying earlier, right? It's just being more efficient, right? You're using your money more effectively if you're then turning and using it in ministry in a way that money is the only way it can, the only thing that can be used. You're then giving the body of believers an opportunity to serve, right? Because if you don't have these opportunities, there are a whole lot of people in the church who will not seek out opportunity. But when opportunity presents itself to them, they will go, right? I think of myself when I was younger. I was not going like, how can I get down to Mexico and help build houses, or how can I go do these things? But when you're a part of a youth group, or even young adults or adults as well, like I've gone on a mission trip with a group of men that were all older than I am. It was like an adult group. They're all in their 30s and above. And I was 19. I was the youngest one there. But still, like a lot of them hadn't ever gone on a trip like this before. And the point was that the opportunity was brought to them and then they went. And so there's just enough people that like don't really think of going or don't, because they get caught up in the world or they get caught up in their life. And these serve as an opportunity for people to use their gifts in a way that they're not already using them. And then they can radically change the lives of the people that are being served. But like you were saying, also, the result often ends up being that they radically change the lives of those who have the opportunity to serve. Because for me, it was a mission trip that I went on that was the thing that showed me that I wanted to be actually it showed me that I should be involved in discipleship, like for the rest of my life. I went on a mission trip to Wyoming, and while I was there, we were serving all these kids in a camp, and it was so challenging. There was not a lot of physical labor except for like running around with children, which can be exhausting. But like we were just pouring into lives of these kids who most of them lived on a reservation, and they didn't often like get to go do anything fun. And like that was kind of how it was presented to us, at least. And we were running a VBS, and it was super fun. It was on this camp. And for me, I mean, I was not there for me. I was there for them. But when I came back from it, I had experienced getting to share the gospel with children, getting to pray with children who had never prayed in their life before, getting to talk to one kid who had been a real terror at the beginning of the trip, and by the end of it, accepted Christ as his Savior, and I got to pray with him as he made that decision, and then got to do my best to kind of mentor them. So for me coming back, I had been radically transformed as well, because I had come to the realization that like, oh, I believe God has gifted me in ways that make me suitable for this more than maybe some people are, or suitable for this more than I am for other things. And I want to keep doing this. Yeah. And so like, I don't think it should necessarily be that you're going on a mission trip and you're like, well, I am doing this for them, but I'm also doing it for me, like not in a prideful way, but I'm also like, I'm doing this for me because I'm going to come out of it changed. You know, sometimes it's kind of hard to attribute change. Change has to be found. I think change just happens. I don't think you should like go there being like, I guess you can, but it's not.
Yeah. I was gonna say having it be. I don't think that wanting to go there because you have a desire to humble yourself and to work and show God's love.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think that is selfish.
No,
I think
not at
that
all.
if you're doing it just because you want to come back and like have that Instagram stories of, hey, I was doing all this stuff, and where your heart wasn't in doing it for them or for Christ or to humble yourself and to become more like Christ yourself, then I think that it is better to have those people pay instead of going there and doing it because if they're not doing it for legitimate reasons, they're probably not going to be in it for.
Yeah,
It would be better to pay professionals to do their job rather than sending false witnesses, basically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
100%.
And what I meant to say when there are aspects of it that are beneficial to the person going down, it's less that you go down with that understanding,
Right.
even in the likeness of I need, I'm looking forward to being humbled by this, but it's more about when you're there doing everything you can to do as much work as you can while you're there. But then also being introspective in the times either before you go to bed or when you have time with the people that you went down with, you go, what can I take back with me?
Well, what is God teaching me in this? Right?
Yeah. What
The
can
same way you should look at trials or hardship, you should also look at service.
What can I take that happened here and use it back where I come from?
Right.
Because it's always, it's not just give and take.
Yeah.
Right? They get something and they give something and you give something and you take something back to give again.
Right.
And man, I would encourage anyone listening, if you have the opportunity, I know a lot of listeners have the opportunity to go on the Mexico trip that I'm going on later, but if you can find a mission trip to go on, even if you're painting houses, right?
I wouldn't put the caveat on even if.
Well, I think
would
a lot of
say
people,
if you're presented an opportunity to serve, right? If you're a believer, anybody should be taking opportunities to humble themselves and serve. But believers, we know that we're commanded to, right?
yeah, I say even if because you can look at it like people could be wrongly looking at it that way. I'm not saying it because that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Because you can look at it and go, well, I'll be spending $500. I'll be going down and I'll be painting houses. Well, maybe I could just use my time better here to do something like. You don't understand the Wyoming trip that you and I both went on.
Oh shoot, I forgot you were there.
Yeah. I didn't have a moment where one of the kids from the Wyoming trip came to me and, was like, hey, I'm sorry. And it's not what it's about. I recognize that. I'm saying what I got from that, what I took back and was able to use back, in Oregon was one of the guys I went with who I'd been friends with forever, who I'm still friends with. I had a moment with him,
Right.
one of the other counselors, under a bridge. There was a giant campsite hide and seek, and we didn't hear the call for people to come back. So we're sitting there for like half an hour in garbage bags. And I got to talk to him, and I just got this insight about him and was able to pray for him and talk to him and stuff that he still confides in me and we talk about to this day. And so it comes from directions that you're not exactly expecting.
Right.
It's why it's so important to go down there and just do something, because it might not be something from down there that can radically change you. It can be someone you went with.
Yeah.
I think God presents us opportunities to serve, and it is our duty as believers to take those opportunities. And if we look at an opportunity that we're given by God to serve, to humble ourselves and act as a bondservant to those in need, like the Bible tells us, right, to serve the widows and the orphans, right? I mean, a lot of these trips, you're literally serving widows and orphans, because they're typically those people in those groups are, most in need. If the Bible tells us to humble ourselves and serve them, and instead we look at that and go, well, we could serve them and we know we could do a suitable job, because it's not, at least in my experience, when we've done things like, because the physical labor was the thing, like construction it seemed like what the problem had in this argument, right? The times we've done that, it's always under the supervision of somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the point is that person that was supervising it might be the person who would supervise it. if a company had been hired to do it, because like let's say, some guy owns a company and his company would have been hired to do it and he would have paid all these guys to do it. But instead, that person who owns that company is supervising it for free because he is doing that as an act of service. And then his labor, that instead of him paying laborers to do it, he is now going, oh, I have all these volunteers who are from America or from the city next door or whatever it is, right? But if we're looking at those opportunities and saying, well, instead of us doing that, let's scrounge together more money and let's just pay a company. I kind of understand like the business mind of that, of being like, oh, let's like support their local economy. Like I can see that maybe as being a little bit of an argument, but I don't think that argument is solid enough to trump the idea of responding well to the opportunity to humble ourselves and serve and to go down there and do it, or to go wherever it is and do it when we're told to do that.
My best attempt to summarize his argument fairly and justly would be that, one, it supports the economy, like you were saying, and two, it might be able to provide a service that won't have to be repeated. Right? That's what I meant by like redoing completely the exteriors of the house. Maybe they won't every 6 months.
I mean, that's such an anecdotal, if you want to look at like argument in general, that's just such an anecdotal thing to
I think
like, well,
the only time when it's not is in mission trips where you're going to severely disenfranchised places where the same things do have to be, like construction is always happening because it can be done at such a low grade. And so that was his thing, was like, instead of having a mission trip every 5 or whatever years to go there, let's have a mission trip every 5 years where we're doing something new and it stays that way. And we don't have to go back.
I mean, those things certainly happen.
Yeah.
I would dare to say that my experience in going to places where they need stuff, I don't think any of the ones I've done physical labor, it was like someone's going to have to come back and on our trail, and fix this in 5 years. Like nobody's going to go in and fix that rock that we tore down because the rock's not going to be there. Nobody's going to go to Guatemala and, rebuild that house that we built unless it gets destroyed, or relay that concrete foundation. Or you weren't at that one. Gosh, no. That's the one I was thinking you were at, not Wyoming. Yeah.
No.
When we did our Mexico thing, the one that me and Jerry went on, there was another section of it where we were doing something entirely different.
Yeah.
We weren't wheelbarrowing barrels up. We were clearing the way because they were having actual bulldozers and things because they could get to those locations. That was like the difference. So we weren't doing the jobs of the greater construction equipment.
Sorry.
I know in that.
Didn't Jesus wash his disciples' feet?
Yeah.
That's a rhetorical question. Jesus didn't instead walk in and say, I'm going to demonstrate humbling yourself and being a servant to you guys, and go, I'm going to pay professional perfumers to come in here and wash your feet. No. Jesus got down on his hands and knees and washed his disciples' feet.
Yes.
I'm just saying, we have a clear example there of Christ himself.
Yes.
I mean, maybe that's bad argument that I'm using. I think there's been some on both sides. There's good people on both sides, man. That's all I'm saying.
It is a good.
Do we have an example in the Bible of where there's an opportunity for the church to support the church and to support people in need, and instead they had that opportunity? Instead, they were like, well, no, we're actually just going to collect money. I mean, it's easy and an easy thing too to say, well, why don't we just collect more money? And there are lots of opportunities where like you collect as much money as you can. You don't collect enough to do that.
Well, there were
there are huge churches
that were when Paul and Barnabas were going around during travels, that the churches were paying Paul and Barnabas for their to keep them going in their ministry.
Well, that's supporting a missionary.
Yeah. But that's
which is already happening in the case of sending people down to do the hard labor. You have to pay for that somehow. I'm saying, do we have an example where instead of sending Paul and Barnabas, the church said, actually, we're not going to send you. We're going to raise twice as much money. We're going to spend more time raising twice as much money. And then we're just going to pay people in Ephesus to do what you would have done.
Well, when he was talking about it, my friend, he said the VBS. Right. That, which in this analogy is what Paul and Barnabas are doing. Yeah. I know it's severely different, but
that's why I was originally asking, do we have an example of a physical?
He's saying all the more, yes. But sending kids down to break down rocks. And I'm not trying to demean that in any way by just saying that for simplification. He's saying, let that be done efficiently and well and never have to be done again. He's not talking about the
breakdown rocks is never going to happen again because it's already been broken down.
The rocks, a rock moved will not return to its place.
So a better example would be
repairing houses, building additions, right? Those can be done in ways that are well done, but not Absolutely.
Well, it's not like they're being sent down there and they're being done with shoddy workmanship.
I know.
This argument is coming from an assumption that kids are going down there and doing it and just being given free reign to be like, hey kids, you guys don't know what you're doing. Build a house.
No, that's not what the argument's saying. That would be a straw man of the argument. The argument is saying, obviously, it is like inarguable that a professional company could build an addition to a house better than a group of young adults led by one construction guy could build a wing to a house.
Right, but we don't have any there's no like, oh, but for sure that house that those kids built is just going to have to be rebuilt in 5 years.
No, you just have more security knowing it was done professionally, and that's what he was saying.
I do have anecdotal evidence of that happening.
Well, I'm saying
I know.
What I'm saying is to say like, it just kind of is reminiscent to me of like I guess to use a political example of the like, if it saves one life, get rid of all guns. But what about how many lives guns save on their own? Like by being allowed to be owned, like to assume, well, what if, because it's kind of a what ifism in my head, like to be like, what if, the foundation that the kids do isn't good enough? I mean, what if the foundation, like professional construction crews screw up all the time?
Yeah, they do.
Less than kids is what I'm saying. Less than young adults.
Perhaps.
What do you mean, perhaps? I mean, that's like that's a pretty established thing.
But if we're worried about what ifisms, it's like, well, we have no control over this if we just send the money down there, and we just pay this company to do it.
You send one person overseas, like you have an ambassador from the church, and it's just it's not a what ifism to say that. It's a what ifism to say that this might need to happen again, right? This wing might need to be rebuilt. It's not a what ifism to say if we send a professional crew, there's no way it will need to be. There's a far greater chance that it won't ever need to be redone.
Right.
So there's two different things.
Is the like reason you're doing it to be like, well, we're doing this so that it will never have to be done again? That's not why you're doing it. You're doing it to do an act of service. And so I understand the idea of quality.
That is the service. The service that it won't need to be.
So you're providing a service. Why not pay money to have a better service provided, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of like,
because I think it's not necessary.
And that was his argument. And I also I agree with you. I think the human connection is as important, if not entirely important, in a different way. Like you need to see the person there.
I think we should use money for missions work where money is absolutely necessary, and people humbling themselves as servants is not an opportunity, but where people can humble themselves and serve so that money can be used more frugally and efficiently for the kingdom of God. That should be what is done.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't think it's just also about to just use, human connection as the only reason. That is another part of it too, but it's like there's so many aspects of why it is better to. It's like the same reason why, if I owned a house and I'm like, well, I could pay a professional to come in and to fix this part of my house, right? Or I could call my father-in-law who knows what he's doing to oversee it and use me as free labor and save a whole lot of money,
Yeah.
It's like, yes, if I pay someone, I know for a fact that, you're paying a professional, and short of a what-ifism where they mess up, you're going to get better quality. But I also know that if, my grandpa and I do it, I don't know what I'm doing, but he can oversee it, and we can pay almost no money except for resources and get it done just the same. And yeah, maybe we have to fix it in 5 years, but it's more cost effective that way. Well, I guess that's it may not be cost effective if you have to fix it every year.
I think his argument holds water. I think there's merit to it. Because in that situation, you said get it done just as well, but that's not the truth. The kids aren't getting it done.
Get it done just the same, meaning like it gets done either way. I shouldn't have said just as well.
I think it's just two different approaches, and one is
like a business
I think they're focused
approach.
on different, yeah. But the business approach is saying let business be business here and let everything else be here. When I think there's room for overlap.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mia, I cut you off earlier.
On the road.
On the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, to Damascus. Oh. Are you glad that you were on this episode?
Oh, are we wrapping up?
I don't know.
Oh.
We have another hour to go.
Oh,
We're usually 2:30 to 2:45.
because
This
I
is
was
just a
gonna say, I was
question,
gonna touch
but-
on something that Levi was kind of talking
Do it.
about
Yeah.
earlier. It was, while y'all were, I'm sorry, I keep banging the
Stop
table.
bumping the table.
I just need to.
You have no idea how often it happens, and much
Okay.
worse than that. You're fine.
Okay, sweet. So I'll do it again. Anyways.
Yeah, really use it up over here.
No. So something that Levi talked about was like going on a missions trip and then like going and like posting it on Instagram or
yeah.
like just taking all the pictures with the kids or whatever. It's like, I don't know. I kind of wanted to bring up something that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about right now is the fact that we as people, maybe not all of us here, but just in our generation, at least I noticed, like we have a it's like we feel an obligation or like we really want to like share everything
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
post everything, like from going on trips to, or like going on missions trips to like sunsets to everything. And it's like, why do we have such a fear of not showing others?
Like, do you mean why does our generation seem to fear the idea of what they're doing being unknown?
Of not being
Yeah.
seen doing it.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
like-
because of, people want to feel like they're being seen, right?
Yeah, but there are other ways to feel like,
And Jesus said, like, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is
Yeah.
doing, because if you get praise from man, that's the only, you have already earned your reward.
Yeah.
You will receive
Right.
nothing in heaven.
right.
It's
Like,
it's
are
much
you
better
asking
to-
more like a psychological question, like why?
Yeah.
do
Why
people
are we?
seem-
Yeah, like that's not something. This wasn't a thing really back before social media even,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
and
unfortunate
it wasn't
consequence.
even when social media started. It's like
It kind of like
we've kind of
became that.
it's
'Cause-
air quote evolved.
It's a
It's turned into what it is now, where it's like now we have stories and now we have like, you know, on Instagram or on Snapchat,
Yeah.
where it's like you post whatever you're doing or something.
yeah.
You know,
And it's a lot of parasocial relationships that are happening when they're supposed to be like personal relationships.
right, exactly, and
I would wonder if, so you were saying like, well, before social media, we didn't have that. Obviously, we didn't have that because it was before social media, and what
Right.
we're talking about is social media. What would the equivalent then be to that type of behavior? Because it's not as though when social media came along, humanity all of a sudden was like,
Oh, yeah.
new ability unlocked. We didn't do anything like this before, right? So what would the equivalent to that be? I would say it's probably like before social media and before the opportunity to quite literally attempt to share what you're doing or what you're eating or what your dog is wearing at any given moment with the world. The equivalent would probably just be like boasting about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think
to
it, was,
groups of
it would
people,
just
right?
be less subtle. I think social media has made it
Made it
subtler.
yeah,
and
Yeah.
to
easier.
where it's like it's not seen as that.
Yeah, because it's called, it's sharing. You're sharing
Yeah.
it with people.
Well, because that can be done altruistically.
It can be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, Chad has talked about this.
Yeah, social
about
media
how
can be a
trying
ministry.
to use social media to share ministry and what his ministry is doing, but without making it as though here is me serving.
Hey, I'm
like-
doing really good.
Yeah.
I'm a good man.
And you just have to be intentional about it, right?
I think what's important is that you're actually sharing something and not just hitting the share button, right? That's
Yeah.
the difference.
What a sticky statement.
Ooh, yeah.
Are you sharing something or are you just hitting share?
yeah,
Yeah. Gross.
T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Yeah. But it's because, they want to be seen. And if being seen is not something you can overcome, which it is, let that be seen through your works, right? Don't just
Right.
hit the share button. Just,
Well, it's interesting. I mean, James talks about how our works, right, our acts of service and the things that we do are evidence of our faith.
Yes.
It's interesting if like you're saying, if that is to be the evidence of our faith, there is no reason for you to then conjure up more evidence.
yeah.
Like to conjure up intellectual evidence.
Yeah.
To be like, here are photos that are evidence of my faith. It's like, nope. The Bible tells us that to the people that you served, the service was the evidence.
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't say to then declare in letter form the evidence.
and there's no harm obviously in like, hey grandma, I did this really great thing
Oh, no,
today.
certainly.
Like there's no issue with that, but like,
Sharing and joy.
Well,
is
I think you
important.
should share,
Yeah.
well, to share the impact, not to share like the fact that you were doing something. But like, I think the fact that missionaries have newsletters, that doesn't then mean that that's a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
They use social media for that. A missionary sharing the fact that, oh, these 10 people came to Christ and I witnessed it, right? They're not saying, or at least they shouldn't be, maybe some are, I saved 10 people, you know? Or I paid for lunch for 10 people and now they're coming to church. It's like, instead, they are sharing in newsletter form or maybe on Facebook or whatever. Hey, update on the ministry that I'm a part of. 10 more people are now coming to church.
Yeah. And it's something for like fellow believers to praise.
And and to be
it's
encouraged.
happening and to be encouraged and to do some kind of mission work yourself. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, seeing the results and seeing the expansion of the kingdom of God should be encouraging, should be convicting. Right? If you're seeing this update from a missionary that's, you know, in Timbuktu or whatever, and they're doing something, and you're like, oh wow, I've just sat on my couch for 7 days in a row and done nothing, but here I am at church, you know, going through the motions. It should be convicting. It should be encouraging to those who are trying, who are attempting to serve, right, in ministry or whatever it looks like, to go, okay, you know, so often it feels as though we don't get to see the our efforts and like the reap of our effort or the harvest of our efforts, to see that at least some people are witnessing this and to see the expansion of the kingdom of God and all that. Yeah. Sharing those things is important, but it's the intentionality behind it. Very similarly to how it is the intentionality behind the service you're doing.
Right. And it's like, are you, you know, if you're stopping what you're doing, like let's say you're serving somewhere and you're stopping what you're doing to take pictures, you know, it's like, what is your intent behind doing that? Is that so that you can like, I don't know, like remember the trip or remember what you're doing?
Yeah.
Or is it to like show other people like, look where I'm at, look what I'm doing, you know, and you know, that definitely changes things when your intention is more of a to be exalted in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Rather than, you know, keeping those memories, you know. But it's like, it robs from the moment if you're stopping to take pictures and like
I mean,
put
that
things
kind
on
of,
the gram.
yeah. I mean, that kind of gets into like just in general too with like stopping to take pictures of anything. It's just like how it's something I've been thinking about. I mean, I guess it's slightly divulged from ministry, but it applies, like you're saying, to ministry. Just how, just in things that we're doing in life in general, when we're just, this is kind of a product of our generation, but like stopping to take pictures of it all the time. Is that really something that adds to the moment because you have that picture to look back on later? Sometimes it's nice to look back on things. Or are you robbing from the instance of that moment and, you know, right then and there, and sacrificing something from it so that you have little bits later. And I've been just trying to like think more about when I really take pictures of things, because I've noticed like how many pictures I have of things I've done in my life and how much I don't care.
Yeah.
Because think about how many hundreds, some people have thousands. Like I have hundreds of pictures from my life and I do go through them sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then half of them I'm like, why do I have this? And I delete it. And I think like, well, in the moment I must have thought I'm going to want this later. Or just been like half-mindedly thinking I wanted it. And so now when I take photos of things, I just think more about like, do I actually care?
That's why I hire a photographer. To follow me around.
Or would it not be better to just appreciate the things you're doing? But that is more like a kind of psychological.
I mean, I don't take pictures about like, and I don't do like a ton of Snapchat.
You don't take selfies?
No, I don't.
Oh, dang it.
But there are a lot of times that I wish that I had like, because I have the ability to, I wish that I had, so that I could actually remember what it, like, whatever actually looked like.
Yeah, this is getting more into like, should you take pictures of moments or live in the moment kind of thing, right? But I think that I think it's good to like take pictures of and like document things that you can remember them later. It's just there's an extreme of that where people are living through. Yeah. But that applies, like you're saying, in ministry. If you're serving, are you just
like, are you somebody that records fireworks going off?
That's a great litmus test. Is that the word for it?
Yeah.
Like, if you are, then you are the problem.
Then you are the problem.
No, you're not a problem.
You record
It's just funny because
just made a
we've
mistake.
all done that, I think. At least
I've not.
I've
only made
as like
fun
a
of people
kid,
for
you
it.
like take a video of it.
oh
Dude,
yeah,
I
and then
didn't
it looks
have-
so much more lame on your phone
Yeah,
because you're
I
like,
didn't have
wait, this is.
I mean, like
when I
before
was
the
a
age of
kid.
accountability, we've taken some photos. But after that, when you take photos of fireworks, you're doing something wrong.
Bro, I didn't have.
What's
Well, no,
your
unless you're-
age of accountability?
Unless you're doing it with like a really high res camera, because then that could be incredible. 20 is the age of
I wrote a
accountability.
paper
She said
about
my
this.
age. She said
Oh,
my
no.
age of accountability.
And are you assigning it?
Because
to
he's
yourself?
19 right now.
Yes.
Oh, he's.
No.
I was gonna say you're older than me.
It's supposed to be, but I guess I just forgot to.
Oh wait, no,
forgot
you're
to-
like from the 80s.
Yeah.
Growing
Oh,
up,
yeah.
like
57.
way
1990.
older.
Okay.
Yeah.
50s from the 80s. Well, I guess you're kind of. Okay, yeah, that math checks out. If you were like born in the 80s, or were you like a raging teenager in the 80s? Because that's way
A
cooler.
raging teen.
I'd say I'm a raging teenager about twice in my life, and they're about 100 years apart. So
Like, if I could choose, I would like choose to be born in 65 so that I could be a teen and like stuff in the 80s.
yeah, drugs.
Wait, if you were born in 65, you'd be 20 in 1985.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you'd be a teenager in like
Yeah.
82, 83.
yeah.
You'd be
Wow.
like a. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Get drafted into.
Be like young adult. Like,
Yeah.
It'd be a
Yeah,
lot less
it'd be
fun
so
for the
fun.
boys.
dude, big hair bands.
Ugh, yeah.
Hair metal, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You guys
Oh, yeah.
wish you were young adults in the 80s?
Oh, yes.
Dude,
For
there
real?
are
Actually,
times
if I love
that
the 80s and 90s.
I wish I could have grown up in the 90s.
I wish I could have been like
Growing up in the 90s.
growing, actually
would have
growing up in
had-
the 90s.
I mean,
I mean, you'd
just
be like 40, 50 right now.
the best frosted tips.
Yeah.
My goodness. The amount of flame flannels I would have, or flame button short sleeve shirts
No.
I'd have.
Are you
Dude.
Guy Fieri?
Yeah,
I would have
you
been.
Guy Fieri.
I would have been.
You've become the
Flavor Town.
Flavor Town.
That's a really good impression.
One last
That's what you
trip to
sounded
Flavor
like.
Town.
Flavor Town.
Yeah.
One of
Just
my favorite
one?
jokes.
Drivers, divers, and dives.
Drivers.
Drivers, divers, and dives.
Drivers, divers, and dives.
Drivers, divers, and dives.
That's a totally different show, man.
Drivers.
Computer drivers, deep sea divers, and dive bars.
Oh, no.
And dive bars.
Three things that should not exist together.
It's the trifecta.
Well, I think we kind of wrapped up that conversation well now that we're on to,
Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri.
Oh.
But in the 80s. But I think to just kind of put a pin in it, if you're a believer and you have not been doing acts of service, we know that the Bible tells us to humble ourselves and serve, right? It doesn't mean raising money and flying down to or driving down to
You don't
Mexico and
necessarily
building
have
a
to
house.
go
Yeah.
somewhere.
Right.
You can do
It should be
service
it should
anywhere.
be something that you're doing throughout your day. But then when you're offered opportunities to quite literally serve the disenfranchised, the widows and the orphans,
Yeah.
go do it.
Yeah.
You
Go
learn a
and
lot.
Work and do things for like the homeless in your community.
Yeah.
At least where we live, like the homeless, there's a big
There are
problem of it going
millions
around.
of Christians in the U.S. There are millions of Christians around the world, right? And, well, dare I say billion? Maybe. I don't know, actually. That'd
I
be
hope,
interesting to know.
but-
I hope, but I don't know.
But I don't know.
If all of us, and I know this is kind of like a big thing because obviously this is not how reality works, but if all of them were actually taking the opportunities that are given to them to serve somebody else, then the world would be very, very different. If half of them were, the world would be fundamentally different.
Yeah.
And it's very true. I mean, these are the kinds of things that we can point out very easily and we do often, but it's very true that so many believers are just going through the motions. And this is something that can be said about a lot of the topics we talk about on the show, right? The believer that is just, right, what's the term? The backseat Baptist, right? Just the person that's like going to church on Sunday, the occasional Sunday, whatever, they kind of slip in, slip out, and that's all that Christianity is to them. And that means they have a lot of work to do in their life. Just saying, like, there are a lot of opportunities that they could be a whole lot more intentional. And there's not a whole lot of evidence of their faith, right? But one of those things is like, if you are not taking opportunities to serve, you absolutely should be. And that service can look very different for a lot of different people. But you should be doing it if you're not. And even if you are, just consider how you go about it and consider the reasons that you're doing it. And the reason you do it should just be because you're commanded to obey. And what's the thing that Gaga said on his episode?
Does he really matter?
Nope. He said, it's been going through my head recently, but it's something about like, he's like, to obey this one. It's on our Instagram. It doesn't matter. But like the God of the universe, right, has commanded you to do something, to serve. And if you are not working on yourself so that you are ready and able when the opportunity is presented to you, then you're missing out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. If you're part of a church, like go and ask, where you can serve, where you can volunteer. Because it doesnn't even have to be like I said, it doesn't have to be leaving the country.
Yeah.
You can do
Or
it in
even
your
the
own
state.
city,
Somebody's got to clean those pews at church.
Someone's got to help with
gotta mow the lawn.
watch kids, set up chairs,
Live
set
stream.
down chair or take down chairs.
Okay, Jude, just say the one that you do. We get it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
this has been fun.
this has been fun.
Also, you could reach
Has
out to
it?
us on Christian Influence Discord because there are opportunities.
Shameless
that can be
plug.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
we.
absolutely.
It's always good to have more people helping because there's always a need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Online
It's a growing.
because it is
Ministry.
a mission field. Yeah,
It is a mission field. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Mia, for being here. This
Yeah,
was a
of
fun
course.
episode.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for helping us fill a quota.
Now we don't need another one for another year.
Jeez. No.
See you guys
every other
next
season.
year.
You're the only girl we know.
Every other season.
No, this was a pretty fun episode. We're always trying to be like, we need to have more guests in general. And we definitely do. I think next season, since we're closing out this season here pretty soon, next season we'll try and have more, and we'll have to have you back sometime.
Yeah, I would love to be back.
And then maybe we'll talk about something that you could bring. You could bring a
I
topic.
could. I very much
Instead
well
of
could,
you
yeah.
showing up and us being like,
So
surprise.
yay, we're talking about ministry
Yeah.
and shaving Levi's back.
Well, okay, hang on. Part of the lore, we don't ever reference the cold open.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
No, just kidding.
No.
Just kidding.
Yeah, we do all the time.
Shattered reality.
Oh, no.
No, but there is an actual recurring segment
That's right.
that we force all of our guests to do.
Yeah.
So I hope you're ready.
Okay.
You must tell us a joke.
Oh, man,
Go.
this is the most wheels off podcast.
Wheels off. Yep.
Okay.
Wheels.
I have to tell you a
heard that.
joke?
Now wheels up.
Yes. Greased wheels off.
I need to think of an okay one.
That's fine. First one that comes to your head.
No, maybe not the first one.
Maybe
Well,
not the first one.
Okay.
The first one
best
that you
one.
would tell your grandmother.
No.
Maybe not.
Maybe not your grandmother.
The other grandmother.
Oh, hey, fun fact and trivia. It's Mia's dad.
Oh,
It's at the
yeah.
beginning
That's
of
right.
every-
Yeah, that is him.
The guy that's not Jude talking in the intro,
Yeah.
that's my father.
Yeah.
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 A real
We've
venerated
said before,
cop.
a real
detective.
police officer.
Yeah.
Voice acted for that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's Mia's father.
An officer
Yeah.
of the law.
An officer of the law.
Ex-officer of the law.
Ex-officer of the law.
He wasn't fired or anything. He was
no.
retired, I promise.
Clarify.
I'm legally obligated to say he's no longer on the force.
Does his blood still beat blue?
He's a vigilante.
Beep
now.
blue?
Beep.
Beep blue.
Beep. Beep.
That's my blood. All right, what's your joke?
What's your joke,
Could be a
man?
knock knock joke. Could be a
No.
It could be a actually funny joke.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We've only had
Can it be? So,
Can I what?
so
edit this out, okay? If it's not okay, it's not like inappropriate or anything. I just
Okay.
don't know. What's the opposite of Christopher Walken? Christopher Reeves.
I thought you were going to say Christopher Whelan.
No.
I think that's fine.
Where's the wheelchair sound? Where's the wheelchair?
Christopher Reeves isn't going to hear it. So was that worse?
Yeah, Jerry.
Oh my goodness.
How dare you, Jerry?
It's only
How
offensive to
dare
me.
you?
I'm
I
sorry.
thought it was a good joke.
It is a
though.
good
Okay.
joke. It's a good
We
joke.
all laugh.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty good. We have a recurring wheelchair. Oh wait.
So
Wait.
we have a wheelchair sound effect.
No, it's actually a cricket
It's
sound effect.
called
No
but
way.
that it's
like
a
a
cricket,
wheelchair.
but it 100% just sounds like a wheelchair.
I
Yeah.
really want to hear this sound effect later. Oh,
Oh, you know
or
what?
now.
That's right. Yeah.
It doesn't really
So
matter.
close your
You have to-
eyes.
So,
Imagine
actually-
Christopher.
Thank you guys for listening. This has been a blast. Thank you, Mia, for being here. All of you hearing this in your car or in your earbuds right now, we love you very much.
Roll the outro.
I end the program by saying, you've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
That's a good one.